What's up, everybody? This is Mario, and I'm back with another episode of Endurify. And yesterday's podcast was titled 7 Reasons Why You Need to Take on Hard Challenges. And if you haven't listened to that one yet, I highly recommend that you listen to it. It's just one that I was actually just really excited, and I honestly felt inspired to talk about that. And that was because I was trying to think about what I should talk about. And I read that this blog post from Leo Babauta of Zen Habits. And in that blog post, he talks about the value of hard challenges and how hard challenges are actually incredible for all of those different reasons. And his backstory is he's a blogger and a journalist and an author of Zen Habits, which is one of the biggest blogs on the internet. And he's going through a 40-day ice, I guess it's more of a ice cold pool. He's jumping into that every single morning, and he's doing it for 40 days, and he's logging his results each day. And I just loved that podcast because I feel like it speaks directly to us as athletes, as triathletes, and as people who take on these big endurance challenges. And, my biggest thing is, by taking on these big endurance challenges like a half Ironman or an Ironman, it's really not about the race. It's not about completing the race. It's all about the person that you become along the way. It's all about the obstacles that you overcome. It's all about the commitment to the daily training. And if you do that, if you sign up for one of those races, you stick to it, you commit with it, you are going to be a different person by the end of that process. And so that's why I just loved that blog post. And just to kind of recap, if you didn't listen to yesterday, his 7 reasons why you need to take on hard challenges are these. And the first one is that it teaches us that we can adapt to discomfort. The second is it shows us the beauty of uncertainty and not knowing. The third is it helps us find growth in failure and loss. The fourth, it proves that we have the courage to do what we fear. 5, gives ourselves evidence of our resilience, grit, determination, and commitment. 6, helps us grow in new and unexpected ways. And then 7, it shows us what our patterns are when we feel discomfort and uncertainty. If we don't challenge ourselves to do hard things, it's almost impossible to see what our patterns are, except, of course, avoidance of doing hard things. So those were the 7 reasons from yesterday. And I talked about how I've seen this recently showing up in my life. And the biggest way that I've seen that showing up is through committing to doing this podcast and doing an episode every single day for a year straight. And that's kind of my newest endurance challenge, because it is require endurance. It requires commitment, it requires determination. And at the beginning, it was something that I was scared of. I was afraid of what would people think. I was afraid of how would I sound? What would I talk about? Would it be helpful for other people? And so far, I've honestly been amazed. It's something that has given me a lot of confidence. It's something that I've gotten better at. And it's something that has inspired me to continue going and to continue taking on bigger challenges. And it's just been a really fun process. And so that's one of the ways that I've seen some of these different benefits of taking on the hard challenges. But another one is with one of my most recent Zwift rides. And that's what I want to talk to you about today. So as many of you know, I'm a big fan of Zwift. And Zwift is a virtual cycling and training app that's kind of like a Peloton. And so what you do is you jump on your bike, you connect it to a smart trainer, and then when you log into the app, you can bike through these virtual worlds with people from all over the world. And lately, I've been doing the Tour de Zwift, which is Zwift's take on the Tour de France. So the Tour de Zwift, there's 8 different stages, and each stage is a little bit different, and it takes you into a different world in Zwift. And there's only a certain number of days where you can complete each of those stages. And so far, I've completed 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I'm going to be taking on stage 5 today. So that's why it's top of mind. But anyways, I had done stages 1 and 2, and then it came to stage 3 last week. And after one of my friends, Corey, completed it, he texted me and he was like, I feel injured. Like, I feel injured bad. And I thought he was joking. And so that when I actually looked at the ride, I understood why he felt that way. This is like one of the hardest stages, and it was 20 miles and 3,400 feet of climbing. And so just to put that into context, when I did my full Ironman in Ironman, Wisconsin in 2017, which is one of the hardest bike courses because of the rolling hills and because some of the biggest climbs, it was around 3,300 feet of climbing. So and that's over 112 miles. So this is 20 miles and 3,400 feet of climbing. So that is just like a slow and steady climb and just a straight grind. And it's really brutal, and it's hard to do when you're indoors on a bike. And so I was kind of like, oh man, here we go. This is a big, hard challenge. And with that came a little bit of fear, a little bit of resistance, a little bit of like, I don't know if I can do this. So I reached out to some of my other friends. I said, hey, I'm going to take on this challenge, 20 miles, 3,400 feet of climbing. Does anybody want to do this? And the group response was like, hell no, I'm not doing that. So basically I had to take it on myself. And so I prepped for it and I decided to go for it. And it was hard. It is, just a slow and steady grind. Like you're going like 3 or 4 or 5 miles an hour, just slowly straight uphill. And it's hard because you're indoors, right? And so my longest bike ride prior to this was like an hour and a half, and it was maybe 3,000 feet of climbing. So this was going to be longer, and it was going to be more elevation gain. So then I keep going slowly. I'm just chipping away, keep climbing. And I eventually get to kind of 3,000 feet. And I'm like, all right, you got this. You've gone 3,000 feet. There's only 400 feet of climbing left. So I kept trying to break it down into smaller chunks. Then once I finally got to 3,400 feet, I kept going. And normally once you get to the completion of the stage and you get through this, you reach those milestones, the app recognizes it and it says stage complete, congratulations. And you get there's this confetti that falls, and it signals that you're done. But once I got past the 20 miles and the 3,400 feet, I didn't get the stage complete. So after an hour and a half or an hour 45 minutes of that, I'm like, what the heck? I guess I'll just keep going. So I kept going. And so after 3,400 feet, I'm like, all right, I'm just going to keep going until I get that stage complete, because I want to do this workout so that I can complete this stage and move on to the next one. And after 3,700 feet, no stage complete section. So I just keep going. After 4,000 feet of climbing, I just keep going. After 4,300 feet of climbing, still going. And at this point, I'm on my bike for 2 hours. And I'm like, I don't want to just give up if I'm just right there. And so I kept going. And then finally, after 4,500 feet of climbing in 2 hours and 20 minutes on the bike, I got off. And I was like, still not getting that stage complete sign. But it was the hardest bike ride that I've ever done indoors. And honestly, one of the hardest bike rides that I could imagine. But 2 hours and 20 minutes, 4,500 feet of climbing, and I just got off and I was like exhausted. And I go into the app and I still don't see the stage complete alert or notification. And so I'm just like super confused. So I reach out to my buddy. I'm like, hey, how long was your climb? He's like, 3,400 feet. I'm like, I did 4,500 and I still didn't get the stage complete. But Anyways, I realized that the app had kind of glitched out on me and it didn't recognize that I had completed the route. Even though I went far above and beyond what you were supposed to do, I still didn't get it complete. And that's really not the whole point of this, but the whole point is after that ride, it was 2 hours and 20 minutes. I did it at night. I took a shower, drank some water. I went to bed. I woke up the next morning and I actually felt really good. My body felt good, but it was more so my mind. I had that sense of completion. I had that feeling of determination. I had that feeling of resilience. I had that feeling of grit, and it carried over into my work day the next day. I had a super productive morning. I was just super on top of like all of my, wrote up my to-do list. I knocked out the highest, most important things, and I had an extremely productive day. And I think the reason behind that is because I was successful and I showed grit and resilience through that bike challenge. And when we do those things, it carries over into everything that we do. And, I kind of want to bring it back to those 7 different reasons why hard challenges are incredible. It kind of taught me that I can adapt to discomfort. Through the ride, it became very clear how uncomfortable this was going to be from about 20 minutes in. But I adapted to that discomfort and it became part of the ride, and I just kind of embraced it. And the other part is he talks about showing the beauty of uncertainty and not knowing. I didn't know when the ride was going to end because I thought I had completed it. And that was a really hard feeling, but I just kept pushing through and I was like, all right, I'm going to keep climbing until I get the stage complete sign. And I don't know when that's going to be, but I'm okay with that, and it kind of showed me how I can have the courage to do those things that I'm afraid of. And then finally, like I said, it showed me that resilience, showed me that grit, it showed me that determination, and showed me that commitment. And like I talked about, these are things when you have those feelings and you take on those hard challenges, these are things that carry over into every area of our life. Because I took on that challenge, I felt more confident the next day at work. I felt like my mind was clear and I knew I could get it done. And so that's exactly what Leo was talking about yesterday in his blog post. So just kind of another example of how I'm seeing taking on hard challenges having an impact on my life. And I wanted to share that with you because maybe you felt inspired after listening to that episode yesterday and hearing that the benefits of taking on hard challenges. And this is where I want to bring it back to you and ask you, what's your next hard challenge? What's the next big thing that you want to take on? And the reason why I want you to think about that is I want you to think about what's going to help stretch you, what's going to force you to grow. And along the way, what is something that's going to help you become more incredible, right? Because the title of that podcast is 7 Reasons Why Taking on Hard Challenges Are Incredible. And the reason why it's incredible is because of all of those reasons that I mentioned, but it's because it helps you become a better person along the way. So that's what I have for you today. I hope that was helpful, and I hope you all have an amazing day.